in this portion of the squat progression, we're going to look at the lunge. In the beginner's DVD, we looked at some of the basic principles of a lunge, but let's carry that forward now again. What you're going to see is some repetition, though, from the core DVD, the advanced core DVD, and some of those issues as we bring in those patterns into the squat, the lunge, the drop, and all of those issues. So let's have this fellow go ahead and go into a wide-based lunge. And how these are typically done is you're dropping down and they load a lot of the quad, and people do these things until they start burning into the quad, but the exercise is a little more advanced than just that. Let's have you put your hand up over your head just so they can see this position. You don't need to do the hands over the head, although certainly that does make this exercise more difficult, but for the sake of seeing what we're doing here, his pelvis is twisted in this angle right now. We need him to get into this position. The problem is that in this position that he's currently in, he's more into his quad, and this glute is soft. He's not into the quad, and he's getting a big stretch through here. What that's doing is that's opening up that abdominal interval that we've talked about. He's not closing that interval through there. So what we're going to have him do is we're going to have him twist his pelvis through here. Now you're going to see him come up in this, okay, because he doesn't have enough strength to get lower. One of the main concerns is how far is too far and how much weight is too much weight. How far is too far is, the answer to that is as soon as you break down the pattern, and how much weight is too weight as soon as you break down to out of the pattern. So let's have him get his pelvis into a neutral position. What happens now is he automatically, go ahead and squeeze your glute, he starts to get more glute tone here, and then have him bring his ribs down and pulling up through here. Now the rule is you can only go down as far as you can hold that pattern through the core, through the abs holding that position, and through the glute. And at some point he's going to fail. So you're going to come back up out of that position again. And then come back down. And the glute over here on the left side is firing real nice. Squeeze this side too. Good. Contracted here, lifted through here, ribs are down. Okay? So there's good pattern through the glute on the left. The quad is a little less active here. Come back up. So, and if you want to, you can come into the distortion of the pattern at the beginning of the exercise, squeeze into here, lift through the abs, come straight down. And the failure point is at which point, that's his failure point. He's starting to lose both glutes at that point. And come back out of that position. And so if you keep failing, then you're done because you're fatigued. So that's basically the lunge position. Now, if they continue to fail, what you need to do is you need to reduce the actual step. Now, squeeze here. There, now drop. And he's got more control and can go further into that pattern. So this was a good peel back. And if you find that you're fatiguing, maybe shorten your step, do a few more until you get back into that correct pattern. Forward here, this is more than just a lunge. We need to get the foot active in this process. So what you don't want is you don't want to see people starting to grip. Okay? The toes need to be flat and pressing with a little bit of a grip at the end. The foot needs to feel anchored over the knuckle, the fifth toe, and the heel. The knee then needs to come down over top of that ankle, creating an ankle rocker. Okay, as he comes down, he's dropping through the ankle rocker and through hip rotation. You're not leaning forward, increasing this angle. Although that's not bad for the ankle rocker, it's changing the activity of this exercise because as he comes forward, he can start to lean through the back and shut down the core. So really, this exercise needs to be brought into neutral position, come down, making sure that the core is intact, but pressing the toe down. And it's hard to understand unless you've done this exercise that by doing this, it makes this exercise a lot more of an exercise itself. So go ahead, come on down. Good, come back up. Good. Now a little bit of movement forward or backward is fine. It adds some challenge to the core. But the point is to keep this position neutral, stay in your abs and stay in your glutes.
The other thing we want to think about is we want to think about the entire chain of muscles going from the feet right up into the core when we're doing this exercise. So first what we're going to do is just a simple lunge squat like we're doing here, and then we're going to add something in and show you how to create some more stability. Can we go ahead and get into that position for us? Good, good. And we're going to come down, just come down regular. Okay. Two things I want you to notice while he's down here. See how much bob we're getting in the knee laterally that's occurring. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to look at his foot. We can see his tibialis anterior here trying to work, his pronatus longus on the opposite side trying to work, trying to create some stability of his foot, and we can see that we have a lot of rocking going on. So we're going to do two things to fix this. Come on back up for me. Okay. First thing I want you to do is we're going to engage the core. So we're going to bring this down and in. We're going to tighten a little bit here. We're going to raise the chest. Okay. We're going to squeeze the glutes just a little tiny bit, and you've shortened up your stance already. We're going to bring you back down. So this leg's going to stay relatively vertical in this position. I'm going to bring you back just a little. And all I'm going to have the athlete do is pick up their toes slightly. So now they're making a tripod between the base of their big toe, their little toe, and their heel. And think about equally distributing your weight between those 3 points. You can see that we're getting a little less bob when we're doing that. He's having a little trouble because we've made him do 4,000 squats in this position right now, so he's a little bit tired. But again, you can see overall more stability, a little less activity in this area here. So let's look at this again. We're going to come up. We're going to have the athlete go into a lunge squat position here. We're going to make sure that the tibia remains vertical in this particular area here. We're holding him stable. Okay, have him bring down here, lift here, squeezing the glutes slightly. And then the only thing I'm going to have him do is raise the toes up slightly. And he's going to think about the tripod between the base of the big toe, the base of the little toe, and the heel to try to create stability here. Okay. We can see he's having a little bit of a trouble with the wobble, so all we're going to do is bring him up. We're going to shorten up your stance just a tiny little bit. Okay. We're going to start in this position here. We're going to bring this back and down, this up, here. Okay. We'll drop this knee straight down. This one's going to stay straight up and down. And I can put my hand here as a gentle guide. Perfect. Holding the toes up, much more stability in this position, much less wavering. So we're looking for, can the athlete, how low can they go, maintaining everything in a relatively normal physiological plane. So to recap what we've been talking about with this lunge position or lunge squat position, we need to think about the chain from the bottom up. We need stability here if we're going to have stability up higher. Foot needs to be stable first, then ankle, then knee, then hips, then the upper portion of the core. The way we want to do that, and we remember some of these principles from some of the other DVDs, and if you haven't looked at it, you want to go back and look at the exercise concepts DVD because we talk a lot about this. But we need the core to be strong, and then we add appendicular movement on top of the core. If the core is not competent in a certain position, the athlete's going to be compromised both in performance and are also going to run the risk of injury. So we're putting the athlete in a position. We're having a comfortable stance length for them. We're going to widen your stance just a tiny little bit. Widen this way, I'm sorry. There you go. Okay, by creating a little bit more lateral stability, we're going to think about the tripod of the foot, base of the little toe, base of the big toe, and the heel. We're going to have him not try to claw or grip with the toes at this point in time. A good way to do that is just to pick the toes up slightly. The tibia is going to remain relatively vertical. If we put it too far forward, we're going to create issues. We're going to be more into the quad. If we bring it too far back, we're going to be too much into the hamstring. We're going to bring this forward into this position. The athlete will come down, and they're going to come down as far as they can comfortably. Hold that right there. Okay. Now in this position, you can see that he's starting to have some wavering and some issues. So we'll bring him back up. Okay. We're going to bring these down and in. Chest comes up. Little squeeze in the glutes. Now we'll bring the athlete down. Maintain a nice stable core. Now he's good right to about there. Watch what happens when we go just a little bit lower. We start to go a little bit lower. We can see that he's changing the lordosis. He also has a tendency to bring the knee forward and we're getting more wavering movements. So we're going to bring him to a position that's relatively comfortable. Start with short stance widths, stance lengths, and longer stance widths, and then progress in until it's in a more linear, longer fashion and the athlete can perform all the exercises competently.